So I was originally going to play Forspoken because I heard it was bad and I wanted to check it out for myself and make my own opinion on it. But then Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart came out for PC. And then...
Know your fucking place, trash!
Yet I'd rather play a game from a series I actually like. Is that so wrong? Originally Rift Apart was a PS5 exclusive until a couple months ago when they released a trailer and announced that it was coming to PC. A lot of you may not know, but Ratchet and Clank was one of my favorite games on the PS4. Specifically the remaster/reboot or whatever it was called. The characters, the planets, the weapons, oh man, that was such a good game, it was just so good. It's definitely on my list of top 10 games to review. But whatever, we're not talking about that game right now, we're talking about this one, so, here is my review of Ratchet and Clank, Rift Apart. I guess we should start with the story first. So basically the Galactic Rangers and the entire city throw a parade for Ratchet and Clank even though they haven't done anything heroic in like, years. Dr. Nefarious eventually crashes the party and steals the Dimensionator that Clank was going to give to Ratchet so that he could search for his family. Dr. Nefarious, however, is dumb and doesn't know how to properly work the Dimensionator and just starts tearing holes in multiple dimensions. Ratchet and Clank eventually end up in this new dimension where they find another Lombax named Rivet who is rebelling against her version of Dr. Nefarious, Emperor Nefarious. Ratchet and Clank decide to stay and help her take down the Emperor and retrieve the Dimensionator before the dimensions collapse. Okay, the plot is alright and I do really like it. They do take advantage of the fact that they are in an alternate universe and show off some fun alternate universe versions of characters. Like Captain Quark, Rusty Pete, Skid McMarks. In this new universe are Captain Quasar, Pierre, and the Phantom. Not sure why I was expecting all of them to be girls, but it's still really cool seeing these characters in a new way. Gameplay is up next. You can move Ratchet and Rivet around with the left stick and use the B button to jump. You can also use the left trigger to go into aiming mode. Here you can do front flips, back flips, and throw your wrench/hammer. But of course the mode is mainly used for firing your weapons, and whoa, there are a lot of weapons in this game. Returning from Ratchet and Clank is the Pixelator, the Warmonger, Glove of Doom, and Buzzblades. But there are some new awesome ones too, like the Negatron Cannon, Ms. Fungus, Topiary Sprinkler, the Executioner, and the Lightning Rod. Honestly, these have probably been in previous games, but I've never played them, so this is my first exposure to them. You can also upgrade these things with Raritanium and level them up to make them stronger. Whenever you do New Game Plus or Challenge Mode as it's called here, you can get Omega versions of the weapons, which basically let you upgrade your weapons to level 10. Oh yeah, let's not forget about the greatest weapon of all time. The Almighty. The Powerful. The Unstoppable Rhino. The Rhino has gone through some evolutions and is now at the 8th generation. I really love the Rhino in the PS4 Ratchet and Clank, but this one, I got to admit I'm kind of disappointed. The original Rhino was just so awesome. It was like a missile launcher, Gatling gun, and fireworks cannon all at the same time. But this one just drops things and occasional references from other dimensions which explode and deal massive damage. It's cool and all, but I do prefer the original, but that's just a nitpick. This one is really not that bad and I still really love it. When you're not battling with all these weapons, you've also got some other moves you can do too. If you press and hold the jump button, you'll be able to slowly glide. Plus you've still got your Magna boots and the ability to grind on rails from the previous games. A new thing you can do in this game is that you can target these glowing dimensional rifts and just grapple to them. It's very situational when you can use them, but it's alright. I can't remember if this move was in any previous games, but a new thing you can do here is the Phantom Dash. Basically it's a dash and no one can hit you while you do it, and I really love it. It sort of reminds me of Hi-Fi Rush and Devil May Cry, but of course you can't launch yourself into the air. Or can you? No, you can't. You still got your grappling, and you can use some of the yellow grappling bots to launch yourself high into the sky. Also you've got these new rocket boots, right? And basically you can use them to dash. I really love them. It just makes the whole game seem much cooler when you go as fast as you can. It really makes all the difference in some of the bigger planets. So the planets in the game are as follows: Corson V, Sargasso, Xerxes, Savali, Blizzar Prime, Tauran 4, Court Elian, Ardoles, and Zordum Prison. In each of these planets there are gold bolts, spy bots that bring you closer to getting the Rhino, pocket dimensions with some pieces of armor that you can equip. There are multiple color schemes to choose from, but I do wish there was more in-depth color customization. The game has a wide variety of enemies and other things to do when you're not doing the story, like the arena where you can do battle challenges and get rewards for them. There are also Lombax shrines where you can get lorbs and exchange them for armor. And in Sargasso you can also collect fruit for Trudy, who is this dragon that helps Rivet and the Morts. Honestly, I would have been fine if instead of Trudy we were able to use the jetpack from the first game. The writing in this game is really good. Each character's fears, likes, and dislikes are conveyed in a really natural and organic way. But that's not the only thing they've got going for them. The game is super witty with lots of hilarious and funny jokes that don't get super overwhelming or annoying. It's that perfect blend of action and comedy that really does it for me. I guess we should talk about the voice actors now. Side note, I find it hilarious how irrelevant Rusty Pete is to the game that his VO isn't even on the main cast list. Alright, let's start with Ratchet and Clank, voiced by James Arnold Taylor and David K. James Arnold Taylor is honestly one of my favorite voice actors in the game, and he's no stranger to voicing Ratchet, as he's already been doing it for years, so you know the guy knows his stuff. He's just really good here. Ratchet himself has a really compelling character arc this time, as he has the means to travel to the dimension where the Lombaxes are, but he doesn't know if they'll be disappointed to see him. I really like this, even though it kind of messes with the lore a bit, but it does have a really sweet resolution. David K as Clank is also really good too. He's also one of the best voice actors ever. He did Optimus from Transformers Animated and Megatron from Beast Wars. He's got some of the most range I've ever seen in a single person, so it's no surprise that he's really bringing his A game with Clank. Clank is as great as ever, even though he is stuck in his little backpack mode for the most part of the game and he's missing an arm. It's really cool to see him interact with Rivet and the rest of these alternate universe characters. Next up is Rivet and Kid, the alternate universe versions of Ratchet and Clank. They are voiced by Jennifer Hale and Deborah Wilson. Jennifer Hale has really impressive history voicing characters in Scooby-Doo Mystery Inc., Regular Show, and Ben 10, where I'm pretty sure she voiced Rojo. She does an awesome job as Rivet, where she's able to almost match James Arnold Taylor's energy exactly, and that's just really impressive. Rivet herself is also a really compelling and likable character. I still want to see more of her if more Ratchet and Clank games come out, or maybe even a spin-off. That would be cool. I really like her relationship and eventual friendship with Kid. It's really cool and wholesome. Speaking of which, Deborah Wilson voices Kid, and in case you don't know her, she did some really awesome voices for DC characters and games. She also voiced Streaky from the DC Nation Programming Hour on Cartoon Network. I'm not even sure how you can voice a character who doesn't speak, but she does really well. Kid as a character is much more rule-abiding than Clank, but that doesn't mean she doesn't have her own issues with self-doubt, Her character arc where she realizes that she is worthy of someone being friends with her is very sweet and relatable. And seeing her finally overcome it and kick ass with Rivet at the end was super awesome and satisfying, even if it was brief. Last up is Dr. and Emperor Nefarious. Dr. Nefarious is voiced by Armin Shimmerman, who brings what we love about the Doctor back. What can I say? The man still got it. And next is his alternate universe self, voiced by Robin Atkin Downes. He does an incredible job as this alternate Nefarious, where Armin is very squeaky and very representative of the types of villains that were popular back in the day. This one is much more like the villains that people like in the modern day. Emperor Nefarious is much more menacing and powerful than the original, but he still keeps the charm of what we love about him. The game does have some issues with the fact that it's not super optimized for PC, but it's not as unbearable as Kill La Kill IF. You can definitely still have fun playing it with a lower quality GPU. Something else that does bug me about the game is the fact that Ratchet and Rivet are playable only in specific planets, like for example you can't go to Sargasso as Ratchet and you can't go to Nefarious City as Rivet. That kind of sucks. It's kind of like those planets in the PS4 game that you could only use the jetpack in, but here it's a bit dumber because Ratchet and Rivet both play the same, so I don't see any reason that there shouldn't be a switch or something that lets you change your character in the ship. This game has a lot of good things, but honestly the character swap was just a missed opportunity. I also would have liked to see more of Ratchet's original dimension because we spend all our time in Rivet's, so we don't really get to see much of what's going on in Ratchet's except for the part in the beginning and end. Final thoughts time. The game is amazing, the controls feel so good, the weapons are on point, and the new characters introduced are all really compelling and likable. The game does really take advantage of the fact that it's an alternate universe. There are some other things they could do for it to be the ultimate interdimensional Ratchet and Clank game, but what we have here isn't so bad. It's charming, action-packed and just awesome as hell. This is the perfect comeback for the last Lombax and the defective Warbot. I'm going to rate this game at a 8 out of 10. I really think this is a must-play for any Ratchet and Clank fan, and even if you're not, it's just a fantastic game all around and one I wouldn't mind replaying in the future. Anyway, that's all from me. I'll see you guys later.
I'm coming, Clank. No, 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 no!
Welcome, oh master of us all. Password, please.
Huh? Why do I need a password? I'm the Emperor. How about I obliterate you instead? Ha 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 ha!